right, so here we are. We got track day tomorrow. Super excited. I'm out here at my mom and dad's house in Shelton, Washington. Tomorrow I'm going to be driving my 1974 Porsche Carrera. I've had this car for, 20 years probably. So got this car in San Diego. My dad found it for me, which he actually showed it to me, and I bought it. I have pretty much turned every nut and bolt on this car. Anyway, what makes this car unique is in 1974, Porsche came out with the Carrera. It was the first car to have different size front and rear wheels. So basically the rear wheels are wider than the front. It's also the first Porsche to have fender flares on it. So this car is based on the 1973 Carrera RS, which is a very small production run car. I think they did 150 of them to qualify for certain racing organizations and things like that. There's two different models in that year. One is the touring and one is the lightweight. The lightweight cars are probably worth almost $1 million at this time. The touring cars are probably about $120,000 to $150,000. This is a 1974. It's not worth that much, but it is the first production car based on that because of the success that that car had. The only difference between that car and this car is the bumpers. This car has bigger, fatter, more US legal bumpers. The 73s are more the classic style, tiny little bumpers. You might see my 1967 912 in other videos. That car is called a long hood, and it also has the smaller bumpers on it. That car is also unique because it's a short wheelbase. In 1968, Porsche went to longer wheelbase cars because people were spinning them, which is what everybody's always afraid of with Porsches. Anyway, long story short, 74 Porsche Carrera, great car. I think 583 built in 1974 in this model. I don't know what one this one is. This one's probably like 350 somewhere in there. I should probably look that up. I've owned this car that long. I should know that fact. But anyway, so ducktail spoiler makes it kind of unique as well. But this motor originally was a 2.7. You can see the badge up here, which was a magnesium case motor. Magnesium being super lightweight. Also was based on the 1973 Carrera 2.7 RS. But the magnesium motors didn't last very long. The heat, because of the US requirements for catalytic converters, or just the heat in general, basically crystallized the cases on those magnesium motors. So they basically fell apart. The motors were very light though, so I think they're about 50, maybe 75 pounds lighter than the aluminum case motors. But anyway, they had that critical issue. This car originally had the 2.7 in it. I raced it a bunch when I got it down in San Diego, Laguna Seca, Sears Point, Thunder Hill, a bunch of times at Portland. I probably have at least, 35, 40 track days minimum in this car. Anyway, that motor blew up a long time ago, and I replaced it with a motor out of a 1978 911 SC. The nice thing about a 78 is it has different heads on it, which means that the heads have larger valves for all the other models, 1978 through 82. But anyway, so that was good. I had the motor rebuilt, made it higher compression, did a really awesome balancing job on it. It's got a little bit bigger cams in it. Did electronic ignition. The actual ignition box is underneath the seat. Breather, the exhaust intake, air intake. Basically, this motor's running maybe 215 horsepower if you're lucky. The next upgrade on it that you can do on a 3-liter is carburation, and then cam. You can maybe get it up to 240 horsepower. Tonight, what we're going to be doing is swapping out my road tires for my track wheels. And while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and do an inspection on the brake pads, calipers, all the suspension pieces, just getting underneath there and looking at everything, making sure it's all looking good so nothing flies off at speed tomorrow. So first thing we're going to do is take off these wheels. We're on the passenger side. You can start on whatever you want. So we've already loosened up the lug nuts all the way around the car, so the car's ready to be basically put up in the air so we can get the wheels off or wheels swapped. So I use one of these nice jack pads here for Porsches. It's great because then basically just slides right into the jack receiver. You can use a floor jack. This is just a little mini portable one, which is really nice. It works good. Here we go. Just gonna jack it up enough to get all these two wheels off the ground. All right, so we've got the wheel off. Now we can see the brake caliper right here pretty clearly. Basically, as you probably are aware, there's brake pads within the brake caliper. I've got a little flashlight here because I need to be able to look at the brake pads and how they contact the rotor. And I can see here that the rear rotor brake pad's about halfway. So that means that after this track day, I'm probably going to be putting some new brake pads on. All right, so for suspension and just general inspection of the right rear area, I'm going to start off on a 911. It's, you got your oil tank right here, so I want to check out all my oil lines, make sure there isn't any leaks. I'm looking at the valve cover and any of the gaskets off the motor to see if there's any oil leaks, and it looks like everything's looking really nice and clean down there so far. And then I'm going to look at the CV joints, which are basically the axle. I'm sure everybody's heard of a CV joint. Make sure the rubber boots aren't cracked, there's no grease flying out. Make sure that there's no Allen wrenches or Allen bolts that look loose. Looking at the transmission, make sure there's no leaks on that. Looking at the brake lines, looks good. Looking at the trailing arms, looking at the bushings on the sway bar. Just generally looking at everything I can. Starting left, going right, and I'm happy with this corner. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put my track tire on, or my track wheel I should say. Throw that back here. Another thing that's a little bit more unique about these wheels is that I've done or upgraded is you'll notice on the air stem, oh that's always fun getting these on. The air stem has a little metal piece on it to hold the nozzle up, because when you're going 140 miles an hour, these will actually collapse down due to G-forces and sometimes pop out, and you'll have a catastrophic failure because your tire basically blows out. So it's important to have those on there, or metal or bolted in style. Either one's fine. Most people run with the bolted in, but this is old school and I've been doing it like this for a long time. So anyway, now we're going to be putting our metal or our steel lug nuts on, and we're good to go. Alright, so we're basically going to go ahead and do the same thing on the front wheel. I typically do the front last just because there's a little bit more going on the front. Front's a little bit more critical, and that's just how I do it. Anyway, so you take the wheel off. Again, road tire, much different than this track tire. This tire is actually the same size in the 225/50/15, because again in the front, I'm not worried about gear ratio because the motor's, in the back, driving the back wheels. So I like this size for the front, and I use that on my track road wheels. So anyway, back to doing the inspection. You see the brake caliper is much larger. Rotor looks very much similar, but again, most of the braking happens in the front, so you got a much larger rotor up there. These pads look about 60 to 75%. Yep, that'll definitely work for tomorrow, but likely I'll probably change the pads after the track day tomorrow. When we take the wheels off, you'll see, or we'll look at and talk about how much brake pad we've actually used in one day. So anyway, brake pads look good. I don't see any fluid on the brake lines anywhere. That all looks good. Again, we're not looking for transmission stuff up here. We're looking for front suspension things. We're looking for ball joints. We're looking for anything that looks broken or out of place. The brake cooling, suspension pieces, oil cooler. There are oil lines here as well that come up from the motor, because again, there's oil cooling in both the front and rear fenders, so you want to make sure there's no oil leaking. All looks pretty good. Look underneath the car, make sure I haven't hit anything that may have damaged. And basically that's it. All looks good. Put the wheel on, put the lug nuts on, take the car off the jacks, torque the wheels. All right, so we've got both the front and rear wheels on. Both the front and rear wheel areas have been inspected, everything checked out. So we're gonna go ahead and put the car down on the ground. Step one, pull the jack stand out, obviously. Step two, lower the car. And then obviously you're gonna wanna repeat that on the other side in basically any order that you like. You know, start at the front, start at the back, whatever the case may be. But you always wanna inspect the brake pads, inspect for any kind of leaks, oil, brake fluid, transmission, whatever. Just make sure it all looks good under there. And again, steel lug nuts. All right, so the last step on getting your wheels on are torquing the lug nuts. I've got this torque wrench right here. We're gonna actually set these lug nuts to 97 foot-pounds of torque. So this tool helps us understand that. I can set it to 97 foot-pounds. I've got my 19 millimeter long socket here, and we're gonna go ahead and torque these. This is probably one of my most obsessive compulsive things as it relates to going to the track. I'm constantly retorquing my wheels. These wheels get extremely hot. They're aluminum. Lug nuts are steel. Things are expanding, contracting. These get loose. They get even looser, and then the wheel falls off. So I torque them tonight. I'll torque them tomorrow morning. I'll torque them before I go out on the track. I'll torque them before I go out on my next session, but we'll talk about all that tomorrow. So basically, 97 foot-pounds. We're gonna go over here, put it on the lug nut, make sure it's going the right direction. Tighten it until it clicks. That's how you know it's at 97 foot-pounds. Then basically do a star pattern. And last one, then you go all the way around, make sure you get it. And that's that one.
Good morning. Yay! Isn't this awesome? Okay, who wanted to be at work today?
Not me.
Okay, we're gonna make sure that everything's out of the car. I mean everything. Everything.
Battery.
Make sure that the numbers are displayed well so that your car can be identified so that we can make sure that we are black flagging the right car. Okay, our paddock speed is going to be about 10 miles an hour because there is no story to tell all your friends that you had an accident in the paddock, right? That's just bad. So go down there and grab a hold of your band there. Make sure that you can show them that your helmet's all screwed on because there's nothing like having all that safety equipment and then not have it work when you need it, right? We're going to go under yellow. Under every session. First session of the morning, ABC, only 3 groups, 2 laps. We want to make sure that your tires are warmed up, that you're warmed up, your car's warmed up, okay? Even though it's going to be a great, gorgeous day, your tires are not quite up to temperature on your first lap. All right, green. Go. Thank you. Standing yellow. No passing. Ever. Okay? Waving yellow. It's right here. Pay attention. Screw your head on a little bit tighter and start looking for it. Slow down a little bit, okay? Red. Okay, there's a cougar.
Stop at the first turn schedule.
That's out there somewhere, and they spotted it. Okay? So we don't want anybody to hit it and then have any issues. So we're going to flag. It could be for anything. It could be that we found a Miata that someone left behind. All right, blue with yellow. We need to pay attention to this one. That means that this little Miata has caught up to you and he's faster than you. Let him by. There's nothing worse than when you're driving along and you got a real fast car in all these corners and all of a sudden you got to drag race somebody down the straight, and even though he gave you the point by, you can't get by him. Just lift off the throttle a little bit, maintain, let him go by, then go chase him. Go find out why he's faster than you in the corners, right? All right, black comes, that's my favorite color, flag. Black furled means
Don't do it again.
we caught you. Don't do it again. You know it. Okay. Open and pointing at you is come in. All right. Standing black. Everybody comes in. The red with yellow. There's debris. It could be that once again a Porsche lost its fluid all over the track. Okay? It could be anything. There's debris. Checkered. We're going to have one checkered. It's going to be right down here. That's the beginning of your cool down lap. And we've done something a little bit different. We've talked about this, but not everybody's ever heard it. And that is, during the checker, during your cool down, yes, cool your car down, but get your butt back here. Because especially if you're a C driver and you're thinking, okay, I'm doing 50%, okay, that drops you down about 25 miles an hour. We're releasing the A cars. It's like releasing the hounds, right? We're releasing them when you get to turn 10, okay? They could be on your tail by the time they come in over here. So quickly get back here reasonably fast. We have a 2-spin rule. It's very simple. Anybody can spin once, that means you're pushing hard. You spin twice, that means that you're not here. You have 2 spins, you're done. Drive the line. If you got a lot of erratic driving, we might have to put an instructor in your car. Don't be offended. We're just going to straighten that out and make sure that everybody's safe.